All right, we are live. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Rogue Report, which I gotta say, a little bit pumped on the name, a little bit pumped on the Chrome retro logo I came up with last night. Yeah, it's a new thing for us. So this is gonna be our after show that we're gonna be going over, things from the previous video, any Q&A stuff that you guys have to ask me. We're gonna give you teasers for the next video, the whole shebang. So anyway, if you haven't watched the previous video, get the hell out of here right now because it's going to be full of spoilers. And yeah, go watch that before you come back to this. We'll be on for an hour. Actually, that video is an hour, so probably not a good idea. Anyway, what's happening, everybody? So you guys can start firing your questions off. It is all going to be about the previous video that we had last week, or on Sunday, I guess, the 1 week in my $1 million home print shop video. This was the longest video that I have ever made by a long shot. This thing was crazy amount of time and effort went into it. Pumped to see just how well it's performing, how much everybody liked it. Obviously, I'm pumped to be back on YouTube again, and we are not going to have any more downtime, no more hiatuses. Hiati? What is the plural of hiatus? Anyway. We're back. We're back permanently. We got a shit ton of videos on the way. And, yeah. So, start firing off the questions. We already got one here. Rogue Print. You'll get in the Rogue Print group. Don't worry. There's a lot of people trying to get in there right now. And I'm the only one that's accepting people. So, kind of tough to keep up with everything I got going on. Don't worry. You'll be in there. Thank you, sir. Glad to be back. Also, look at that. My little graphics are working quite well here. Pretty pumped on that. Arnold Prince in the house. Let's see here. Ben Ewing, you're already adding some stuff here. Let's go. So let's get into the Q&A stuff. So you gotten any work from? No, that was an NHL team, not an NFL team. We have not yet. That was kind of a collaboration between a local brand. They're pretty, I would say, like, they're kind of well known. They're very in touch with, like, professional sports teams. They do a lot of collabs with professional sports teams, professional athletes, things like that. So they were kind of the middleman between that one. It was a collab between that team and them, and they got us to produce it for them, which was very cool. I'm hoping we're going to be able to kind of break into that market a little bit more yet. I don't think we're quite ready. We're definitely ready in terms of, like, what we're able to do. Like, the quality of work that we can produce is incredible. It's just our output speed, I don't think, is there yet, especially for if we do get, like, let's say they want us to handle some of the retail account stuff. That shit is huge. Those are monster orders, and we need more help to do that, probably more machines. We'll build up to that. I don't want to get too crazy about it just yet, because you don't want to promise what you can't deliver, right? And then you look bad and they'll never look at you again. So we're working there, baby steps. I'm going to do this the smart way. Jackson Ryan, what is up, sir? Any more AI images? I'm not sure what that means exactly. We, I guess, probably some of the stuff that, like, we've printed for some bands recently. We're using AI, and there were some people that were, talking shit about it like they do. I don't know why, because that AI can produce art better than they ever could in a million years. But yeah, I don't really care. My stance on it is it's a tool, and if you can use that tool to make something better, why not use it, right? Using it just to, just pump stuff out and rip stuff off, that part's a little bit, I don't think that's okay. But to use it as a tool to elevate what you're doing, or to, offset something, that's, I think, the true use for it currently anyways. And I have no problem with it. I think it's awesome. The only thing that sucks is, like, pretty much every time it pumps out a photo of a person or anything, they always have 3 fingers or 8 fingers. One of the two. There's never the right amount of fingers. Oh, thank you, sir. I just made this hat yesterday. Never worn a blue hat in my entire life. Trying something new. And yeah, this is some puff embroidery on here too. This thing turned out pretty sick. Love doing puff embroidery. It's super fun. We were doing a bunch yesterday, and I figured I'd rock something for myself while we had all the materials out. 456 Print Co. What's up, sir? How you doing? I appreciate that. Your last video was great. That fucking real with the water pipe. I died laughing when I saw that thing yesterday. That was super funny. Well done. Anyone who hasn't seen 456 Prinko on Instagram, go check that thing out. It's hilarious. Let's see here. Wow, I got to catch up to like the most recent comments here. I was like way back on this stuff. Let me just scroll all the way to the beginning again. There we go. Yeah. So since we're on the topic of AI, which AI was I using? I was using Midjourney. With the couple times that I've used it for some projects. Like we did it for kind of a small chunk of one of our projects. We did for, I have a video coming out sometime about it. This is like the final video that I'm editing myself. So whenever I'm going to have the time to put this thing together, I don't know yet. But it was when we printed that crazy competition shirt, we used AI to produce a very small portion of that design to kind of help us get started. And we used Midjourney for that. And it took a fair amount of tries to get it, to spit out what I wanted. But once I got it there, it was like, fuck, this is way better than we could ever do. So it worked out really, really great for that project. It's not something we use a lot, but man, in that one case, it was awesome. Anyway, let's see. Let's see if we can find some more questions about the previous video here, because that's kind of what this is about. Not just throwing questions all willy-nilly here. This one right here. So are you talking about our new guy, or we got Ed back, which is funny. So like in that last video, Ed, that he quits when he used to work here or whatever, and he was like helping me in the shop, screen print and whatever else. And it's funny because now he works here again. The next video that's coming out on Sunday, it shows him coming back, and now he's our full-time filmer, full-time editor, and not my screen printing helper anymore. So yeah, he's back again, which is super awesome to have him back. He's fucking great in the shop. Always bringing the good vibes. We're breaking him in to get him up to the level of producing some top tier screen printing content. And then this one here, we'll just throw this one up here real quick while I find something else. Never underbase black, because it doesn't need it ever. It number one, it's black. There's no reason to underbase a black ink. And number two, it has problems sometimes adhering to that bottom layer. And number three, it makes that black layer super, super, super shiny looking. And like black ink, you're trying to get rid of that sheen, because unless like you want to see it, honestly, it could be a look you're going for. But most of the time you're trying to get away from that sheen, because black ink does have like a pretty high light reflectiveness to it. And it usually doesn't look very good. So black does not need the underbase. You should always knock it out of your designs, and you'll be a lot better for it. Here we go. How long does it take you to film? So that video last week, dude, I don't even want to know what that took for me to edit. Like, I know it's beyond probably 50 hours I put in editing that thing. It was weeks and weeks of time. That video, I shot it last fall, and it took so long to get it to the finish line, just because of my time constraints with the business and whatnot, which is why I hired a full-time filmer now. But yeah, it was a lot. And the typical videos are nowhere near that, for sure. Like our typical videos, I would say to shoot, we've got a different formula going on now. So like back when I was doing it all by myself, I would kind of spend a very long amount of time putting those things together. So I would shoot for a very drawn out length of time, because I'm trying to like do a job, I'm trying to print some shirts or trying to do this or that, and then film it at the same time. So let's say like if I was printing a 50 shirt order, even though I'm on an auto, that would take me like 10 hours, something like that, 12 hours sometimes, because it's like the auto can spit that thing out in 20 minutes. But the amount of time it takes me to film all those shots and stop and start and set up all the time, it's a lot of work. And then the editing that goes into it is, again, even more. My typical video, I'd say on the editing side, would take me around anywhere in the range of like 8 to 12 hours was kind of the average. Some of them would be less, some of them would be more. But yeah, that's the typical one. But last week's video, that was a whole different ball game. We shot so much stuff. There was like 26 hours of raw footage total. It was absurd. Absolutely fucking absurd. We typically with a video with raw footage, like I'd have like 3 or 4 hours of raw footage for most videos. And yeah, 26 hours of stuff that I had to sift through to put that last one together. That's why it took so long for me to get that thing out. But yeah, never doing that again, at least not for a long time. That was way too big of a project. And holy shit, I see someone in the chat that I haven't seen for a long time. Jake the Garden Snake, YouTube, absolute legend. Good to see you here, my friend. I haven't talked to you in so long. Miss this guy. We used to do like live streams every week on the EN187 channel and always like just do our little hangouts behind the scenes and stuff afterwards. It was always super fun. Hope you're doing well, sir, and cranking out more stuff. I've been watching videos here and there whenever I can, and they're still awesome. There we go. Here's a big one. So let's pull this in. When you run an order, let's say 1,000 pieces. They come back. No, if they come back, so thankfully I can throw these up on the screen so I don't have to read them out loud like a weirdo. So if they come back and produce 50 more shirts, they are not getting the price break that they got for 1,000 pieces. Absolutely not. Because we have to reset up. We have to remake those screens, reset up the press, all the work that goes into it. So no, if they're going to come back for 50 more pieces, they're paying the 50 piece price break, not the 1,000 piece price break, and vice versa. That's like the thing with like so many clothing brand people that come in, like who are starting a new clothing brand. It's an age-old joke that a lot of print shops will talk about, where like, you know, some guy will come in and be like, bro, give me the price for 500 shirts. I'm going to print like 50 right now, but give me the price for 500 because I'm going to come back like right away and get 500 because my shit's going to blow up. And no, you can pay for what you're getting now, and that is it. We don't budge on that. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. The video, I'm glad everybody liked it. It's doing super well. My channel has been dormant for a very long time, and I was a little worried about that and just how much work I was putting into it. If that thing was gonna, perform, or people were gonna like it, or if people just like stopped giving a shit about anything I made. So super, super happy that it's out there killing it right now. So this one, there's no reason to be cutting on your printer, period. That's why I'm using the Graphtec cutter. So the reason why I'm not cutting on the Roland, because the Roland is only making money when it's printing. It's not making money when it's cutting. So when you have to stop, reload, like unload the machine, reload it with something to cut it and whatever else, it's so much wasted time and so much wasted money and wasted effort. And it's just like, it's a shitty cutter too. Like anything that has an onboard cutter, the cutter is always kind of an after the fact thing, just added on there. It's not really as good as a standalone cutter is, not even close. So having a standalone cutter is worth every penny that it costs, and I will stand by that. I'll die on that hill forever. It's awesome having a standalone cutter. Like I was doing stickers for like, I don't know, I'd say like 6 months before I got a standalone cutter, and I thought it was fine. And then finally we started getting enough orders where I was like, I gotta speed this up somehow, so I'll just get this. And I didn't think it would be that big of an improvement, but when I did, it was like, holy shit, this is massive. I have a video on it. I forget, it was when I got my first Suma cutter. Oh, look at that. See, these comments are flying in here. I got to catch back up to this stuff. So this is a question that like I get a lot, the price break thing, and those are some odd numbers, Edgar. Very odd numbers. I've never seen those kind of numbers before. Most people do it in dozens. Our price breaks are kind of a little bit different, I would say. Like ours, we don't have like a bunch of them. I shorten the gaps a lot. Or sorry, I broaden the gaps a lot. So like most people have like, 24, 36, 48, and they'll just keep going and going and going and going. I don't think that's a good idea personally. So ours are like, 24, 48, 96, and the number just keeps doubling over and over and over again as it goes up. So it's like 96, and the next one's like 192. Because I don't think it's worth giving a break for anything between that. That's just my personal view on it. I like to be profitable in my business. I don't want to be arguing over pennies and stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I have it set up. It works great for us, but it's different for everybody, right? So you never know. But those numbers that you gave me are a little weird. I've never seen that. But I mean, again, if it's working for you, fuck yeah, awesome. The Suma cutter. So yeah, the Suma cutters. I wanted to do a video on this a long time ago, and I just never did. And I just like, I don't know, kind of forgot about it. I'm not a fan of Suma cutters anymore. I've got one video, like when I first got my first Suma, and like I loved it and it was awesome, and it was awesome until it wasn't. The machine was incredible for like a year, and then the second that thing fell off warranty and I needed help with it and needed support, those guys were terrible, absolutely terrible to deal with. It was a fucking nightmare trying to get anything out of them. Eventually, it got to the point where they just were like, you know what, we'll send you a new cutter then. They sent me a brand new cutter. New cutter shows up, it's doing the exact same stuff, like literally the exact same stuff. And I'm trying to tell them, like, look, I think you got a software problem here. This can't be, you know, two machines doing the same thing. It just doesn't make sense. And it was a long, drawn-out thing that took way too long. And eventually they just ghosted after a while and just stopped responding to me. They were just like, you know, fuck this guy. And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm trying to run a business here, so I just parked those two Sumas off to the side, unplugged them. They'll never get touched again. I'm going to probably offload those things, and I got a GraphTech, and that GraphTech has been phenomenal for me. I absolutely love it. It actually does a better job when it comes to the type of stickers that I make here, which are the die cut style. It's a far better machine than the Suma. I will say that hands down. The Suma definitely outperforms it when it comes to high detail, you know, like kiss cut style work when you're making like transfer style stuff. It for sure outperforms in that department. But when it comes to the full cut through die cut style stuff, the GraphTech blows it away. It's way better because it has the little cutting groove trough type of thing, which the Suma does not. So I far prefer it for what we do every day. And now actually, like, we pretty much stopped doing all other kinds of stickers now, just because I wanted to kind of narrow down our offerings and get really good at just what we do. And it's been great. Wow, this is crazy how many comments are coming in. It's very hard to keep up. I think I need like an assistant for this thing, someone to like help carry this along, find the comments, well, so I don't have to. Anyway, what is your height? This kind of has something to do with like the last video because we saw a new employee get hired in that video. My process is just like, I don't have one. It's throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks, basically. There is no real process for it. At least maybe there is, like, for people who are far more experienced and know a lot more than I do. I do not know everything, not even close. I'm just figuring it out as I go. And I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there and trying to find the right people. We're trying to like just use social media to its advantage, really trying to find people through there. I've tried stuff like Indeed and whatever else, right? And they have not gotten us good results. So I've kind of just leaned into doing it on social media and like word of mouth most of the time. And that's worked out pretty good so far. It's made the hiring process take longer than it should, for sure. But it's gotten results. So I'm going to kind of stick with that for now. I'm going to be looking for another person starting Monday. So we'll see what works. You got your first GraphTech in a junkyard, 5 years, no issues, and paid $50 for it. Yeah, they're rock solid machines. The one that the very first cutter that I got, it was like actually would have been the second piece of equipment I ever got. That thing still kills it. It still runs. I plugged it in like a year ago just to make sure it still works and stuff because I was thinking about selling it, and that thing's awesome. It's the little 24-inch version, and it's been awesome. That thing made me so much money in my basement, helped me buy more equipment, helped me eventually get into screen printing. Jake, I am not giving you admin privileges. I've seen what happens when you have admin privileges. You go out and ban everyone in the chat for fun. Ain't happening. I still remember. Oh my goodness, this is painful. The shop you just left was infested with rats. Yeah, that sucks. That's gross. Going into the lean stuff, I don't know if you've ever looked into like lean manufacturing, but that's kind of the way we're pushing right now, is to getting into that. And so that kind of explains a little bit about that. And we're trying to get better, being cleaner, being more organized and everything else. Because like that shit makes a big difference in just how much you're able to output and how fast you're able to do it and how efficiently you work in your shop. So that's something we're kind of pushing towards right now. We're doing it little by little. And it's helping, that's for sure. Tom Riv. What's more challenging, being pro motocross or pro screen printer? Honestly, I think being a screen printer is harder. I think I operated with like mostly natural talent when I was riding for a living. I was able to just kind of do it. And screen printing's fucking hard, man. It's very hard. It's a tough thing to learn. It's a even harder thing to get good at. But on the flip side, I don't break myself screen printing. I don't get hurt. And I definitely much prefer the job I have now. That's for sure. I don't, get laid up on the couch for months and hate myself. So that's kind of nice. Oh, here we go. What's your thoughts on DTF? That's the age-old question I get nonstop. I personally don't like it. There's a lot of people that seem to think that that's somehow going to replace screen printing and be like the new king of printing. It's not. It's not. I'm just going to burst your bubble right now. It's fucking shitty compared to screen printing. If you can throw down a good screen print, it's not even close. And I've tested this too, like showing people the same designs, like people who are not in the industry who don't know the difference, and just like grab a customer and be like, here, feel this shirt. What are your thoughts on this? And every single time they're just like, this one is miles better. And they're holding a screen printed shirt. They can notice the difference. I mean, some designs and some applications, DTF makes sense, especially like in the application stuff. Like DTF can be put on stuff that screen printing can't, or would be very difficult to do a lot of the time. So that is a great application for it, for sure. But yeah, if you can throw down a good screen print, it's not even close. We use like very minimal amounts of DTF in there. We're starting to kind of push towards more using DTF for like neck labeling, not for t-shirts because it's too slow. For t-shirts, it's way faster to print them on the auto. But for doing hoodies and stuff, throwing DTF in there, that is kind of the way we're going. We were making screen printed transfers for a long time, and I still kind of think the quality is better for sure. But it's just the time that goes into it, right? I'd rather kind of just push a button and watch the neck label spit out versus having to make a screen and, do all the whole thing. I started realizing it's more work than it's worth. And like when it comes to neck labels, the quality difference is not that much better. So I'd rather take that slight downgrade and produce the product faster for my client. So that's kind of my thoughts on it right now. And we've been using them for a couple short order stuff. I've been resisting it for a long time. If somebody wants like 12 shirts, we're kind of starting to go in that direction for, high color count, low number orders. So we just had one last week, actually. Like it was like a 14 color job or whatever. So we would have not been able to screen print this at all, but they only wanted 12 shirts. So again, no one would screen print that. I threw DTF on it, explained to them that, hey, this is not going to be as nice as a screen printed shirt. I'm just telling you that right now, but we'll get the job done. And they grabbed it. They liked it. They're like, yeah, this is totally fine. And we got the job in and out the door, and now have a new client that will periodically order those from us. So, kind of worked out. As far as me getting one, though, that I'm on the fence about. I kind of want one at this point because we've done enough now to where I'm like, fuck, it's annoying having to order these from my supplier that I get them from. So I may end up with one, but I definitely need a bigger shop before that happens. Add to broadcast. Hey, we got Roy in here. So Roy was the receiver / middleman between those SEG shirts that we saw printed in the previous video. Thank you, Roy. I'm glad you saw the video. Thought it was good. And man, those shirts were awesome. Those shirts were super sick, especially I love the design with the shield. There's so much crazy detail in that thing. Dan absolutely killed it on that thing. Like Dan's a fucking wizard at what he does. And screen printing that was that was not easy, man. I didn't really go over it in the video, I don't think, but like just how hard it was for me to get there and nail like all that tiny little stuff, like those tiny letters and all those like long, sharp points that go down to like a just microscopic level. The level of difficulty to get there is very, very high. Like trying to expose a screen to maintain those long, super sharp points, it's hard, especially with film, which was what I'm using right now. And yeah, it took me a minute to figure that one out, but I'm glad we got it dialed. And those shirts, they look super good. I just wore one yesterday, actually. I think it was yesterday. I kept one of the ones that were not up to my standard, and still looks really good. Yes, Hangar 42. Bigger shop is absolutely necessary in in the near future. We're definitely going to do that as soon as possible. There's some wheels turned in that direction. I'll say that much. This one is going to be like when it happens, I'm going to have to tell people like immediately. I'm not going to be able to keep it a secret like when I moved here because there's just too much with a a move like that. So we're going to document this one like over the long term when it happens. So we'll keep you posted on that. About to get a solvent printer to make vinyl stickers. So you're going down the right path, getting solvent. Personally, I think solvent is the king when it comes to print technology. I'm not a fan of latex. I just don't think it's there yet. Honestly, there's not a lot that goes into it. Like if you can just do the moderate maintenance on your machine, it's not like it's constant maintenance like a DTG where you have to fucking babysit that thing every day. Like you just once a week, do very moderate maintenance on it. Most of those machines do auto maintenance on themselves anyways. You got to do like the odd manual thing on it. Other than that, there's really not a lot. Just make sure, you're setting up for your material and stuff. I don't know what it's like on different machines. Like on my Roland, there's like media gap adjustment and things like that and calibrations that you have to dial in. Like that's like what's going to determine how good your print quality is. Another thing is like the settings in your rip, like setting up your colors and all that type of stuff. I always use the highest possible quality settings in my rip that are available. So many people will tell you that that's unnecessary and that they don't use that. And here's a million reasons why. Fuck those people. I'm just going to straight up say it. I think they're wrong. I've had so many people tell me that like it's unnecessary to print at the settings that I print at. Well, I can see a visible difference between their settings and mine, like a very, very visible difference. And the quality of my stuff, like it looks awesome. Like these things look screen printed and, they last. They're awesome. And also make sure you're laminating. Do not ever not laminate your stuff. Like that's just, you're asking for trouble. There's a trailer parked in my driveway right now. Our painters, I got my house getting painted on the outside because I had like a bunch of hail damage from a tornado last year. And dude, whoever did the wrap on their trailer didn't laminate it. It is atrocious. You can tell this thing used to be red. It's like bright pink now, and like all the graphics are just like worn off, and it's horrible. So always laminate your stuff, unless it's something that's gonna be thrown away, something disposable, like let's say like little labels or something like that. Like that's fine. But anything that's gonna be hanging out over the long term, like a sticker, absolutely laminate it. My settings. I got one setting in there that's like a little bit proprietary to me, like my color profile that I created for myself. I kind of keep that one to myself. But when it comes to the settings in my rip, if that's what you're talking about, like I use the Roland rip. I use the base setting is like for the color is like max impact, I think. And then I print at like the highest possible resolution and the highest possible passes. So it's like 16 pass, full blown resolution, whatever the hell it is. It's definitely a lot slower, but man, it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. Yeah, so everyone always asks where I get clients and stuff from. And honestly, it's from word of mouth mostly. At first, like for a very long time, it came through YouTube. We had tons and tons of clients finding me through YouTube just because of, the SEO of my channel. And that's been great. And they still find us through there. But now it's mostly word of mouth, which is very cool. Because we're kind of taking more of a stronghold locally, which is what I wanted to do. Wanted to kind of get away from shipping stuff all over the place because just logistically, it's a lot of work and we don't have enough manpower to really do that. And so I wanted to really focus on local, which I didn't do when I was working in my basement because I was kind of keeping that under wraps the best I could because what I was doing in my basement was probably more than what's actually allowed to be happening in my basement. So I just kind of kept it quiet. But now that we're, doing it legit, we're doing a real big push to gain local business, and everyone that we work with locally has referred multiple clients back to us like crazy because they've just saw what we can do, and we're nice to work with, and the quality of our stuff is awesome. And then they come back and then they send their friends back with it. So that's been the biggest growth factor for us in the past year has been word of mouth. So that's why you never ever let stuff out the door that is subpar. That's why I'm so anal about what I make, because people talk, and try and give people the best possible service I can. We're not the fastest, that's for sure, but we're going to give you the best service we can possible. We're going to make you the best product, and we're going to try and help you out the best we can, answer your questions the best we can, and then people appreciate that, and that's really all it takes. Here we go. This looks like a good question. I can't read these in full before I pull them on on the screen because I'll be sitting here in silence too long, so let's read it out. 3 or 4 tips for brand new startup print shops. No, the market's not too saturated. That's for sure. There's definitely plenty of room for everybody. Like I said, it's about doing things different or doing things better, or, just standing apart somehow. That's really all it takes. Like if you kind of like try and follow what somebody else has done, that's when you get lost in the mix, right? Like how we were able to kind of stand out and grow, and how we're still able to stand out and grow because we are different than everybody else. We carry ourselves different. We look different. Our branding looks different. We have this huge YouTube presence. We have like a quality level that's like is unreal, and like we are not afraid to kind of stand on that hill and fucking brag about it a little bit. We're just different than a lot of other places. We're, like our marketing materials say fucking shit in it and stuff like that, right? And that's really all it takes. Like it's being different and like being true to yourself, and not trying to just like copy what somebody else has done. I think that's what too many people do. They see it as like this person's making this much money, or this person's this successful doing this thing, I'm just going to copy what they're doing. And I mean, to a certain degree that will get you down the road, but eventually you will plateau out because like you're just following what someone else is doing, right? You're going to run out of ideas. You're going to run out of things to copy. Whereas if you're doing it your own way, the creative juices are going to flow. You're always going to be doing something a little bit different. You're going to be kind of a few steps ahead, I feel like. So that's honestly the biggest thing, is just trying to stand out and do something a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. Figure out a different way to offer yourself and your services. So this one, T-shirt side hustle. What's up, Stan? How's it going, man? I hope you're printing shirts right now. I hope you're using an Underbase right now. I was just giving him shit for that the other day. Average price for shirt is like, it's subjective, right? It's very different for everything, which I'm sure you know, and most people in the business will know that, like, the volume is a big factor. The shirt we're using is a big factor. The number of colors, number of placements, that's a big factor. So it's really tough to say. But I would say if I'm going to stick a number on it, just due to like what we produce, because like I'd say our average order volume is probably around 100 shirts, and our average color count is pretty high, honestly, compared to most shops. Like the amount of one colors we produce is the smallest number. I'd say we produce 6 to 8 colors more than anything. So my average shirt cost is probably pretty up there. I would say, I'd probably say around like anywhere from $13 to $15 Canadian dollars, something like that. And then sometimes it can go up even higher. Like if somebody wants a really high-end blank, they want tri-blends and whatever else, right? It's going to climb. So, plus, I like making money. I don't undersell what we do by any means. So, still thinking about buying a Mamaki and a manual stampinator at the event this weekend. What does it come with? MEM2. Oh, cool. It comes with that? Why would it? That's a weird combination of stuff, because the manual stampinator is already heat press in itself. So if it's coming with a 2-station heat press on top of it, I feel like that's a little redundant. But I mean, shit, yeah, it's a decent deal. I think like I said, what I told you in your DMs, I think that's a supplement thing. I don't think it's going to replace what you do for sure. I think it's more or less going to like supplement what you're already doing, be able to offer a few different things, be able to get some smaller orders in the door, things like that. It's definitely not going to replace what you can do. I can already tell you that in terms of quality, like your old press is going to be able to do far better stuff than that thing. But the manual stampinator is a very cool addition, because you'll be able to use that obviously on your manual press and produce some really high quality stuff. I've seen what that thing can do just because I use one every day in my shop on the auto, and dude, the quality of a screen print that you can get when you're using the Stampinator and you have it set up right, unreal, absolutely unreal. It can't be matched, but it is a pain in the ass sometimes. We were dealing with that today a lot, so I have a little sour taste in my mouth with the Stampinator after today. So I have some weeks and weeks go by where we're just crushing it with that thing, and then sometimes we have certain jobs, certain garments in that thing, and certain inks just don't get along with it, and it just, oh God, it can send you into a frenzy. I was fucking pissed off all day today. That's okay. We'll pull this one up anyways. So yeah, when we lose a head or two because of accessories, right? So we immediately lose one with the Stampinator because that can't be moved in and out. It's in there or it's not. And then flashes, of course, are going to take up other heads. So we don't really push prints past 8 colors anyways. Most people don't need that. Honestly, I feel like 8 colors is like, it's a lot for most jobs. I'd say like 90% of the job. Honestly, the amount of jobs that have come through the door that would be more colors than that in the past few years have been, I think it's happened twice that I've had to say no to something. And even then, one of them actually, yeah, it was twice, because there was a few other ones that were definitely more, and we were able to work it down into 8 colors by doing some trickery in the separations and whatnot. And but yeah, the 10 color plus designs are not very common. I personally would want a bigger press though, just for the added cooldowns. I think my next press will definitely be like 14 or 16 colors, maybe even 18. I would probably want to use most of them, but I just want the added size so that we can have more cooldowns and stuff, because the amount of times we get into trouble where we need cooldowns and we have to run like multi-rotations, things like that, it's a pain in the ass. So that's why a bigger press will come in handy here. But the only time I did, it was during the that competition shirt I was talking about earlier. We printed 9 colors on that one, and that one we needed the Stampinator and the flash in there too, so we only had 8 available heads, and we needed to print 9. So what we were doing was we were doing it on multi-rotation, and on one of the rotations we were moving the flash in and out, and then on the second rotation we fucking dropped the head back down and let it print. It was a lot to keep track of, that's for sure, because there was so much shit going on in that print. I messed it up a few times until I got like the muscle memory down and how to get this thing out. But it was not something I want to do again. Tips on printing sweatshirts on a manual. Manual, off contact, lots of it. Definitely a good amount, and having like good screen tension and whatnot is obviously key. Using the right screen mesh for sure is a big one. But yeah, just having enough off contact is, I find like a lot of people don't run enough, is what I've seen anyways. You want to see that screen, like you want to see it snap back out of there as you print it. You don't want to see it stick and kind of like, slowly pull out of there. That's when you know you're going to have problems. You want to have that real nice snapback going on. And then, using the right squeegee, the right angle, the right technique and stuff. That's something that is a day-to-day thing that should happen on t-shirts, hoodies, no matter what you're printing anyway. But yeah, it's sweatshirts on a manual are tough. I hate printing sweatshirts, period, on anything. Every day that I have to print them, I complain about it. But yeah, it takes some work to get a good hoodie print down. It's just a matter of, trying things and getting the setup right and whatever else. So it's a little bit of messing around. Squeegee technique will help get you there too. I don't know if you're pushing, pulling, whatever, but getting your squeegee technique dialed will also help too. Making sure you're shearing the ink versus pushing it in there, especially on hoodies. Like on t-shirts, that's also an important aspect, but on hoodies, it's crucial. So, do I have all the employees I need? No, I don't. We definitely need more. We got to grow, but I mean, my shop is kind of too small at this point, because there's 4 or 5 of us now in there, and it's just like, it's too small for that many people. So I don't think I can add more until I move, personally. I think currently I definitely need at least 1 more, but we're going to grow beyond that. Who knows? Like, it's only been a year since I started hiring employees, and, I'm up to 5. It's ridiculous. So I feel like it's another 6 months. We're going to need, 2, 3, 4, who knows? It's crazy. The shop just keeps going on an upward trajectory, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. How long did it take before you got consistent week-to-week client orders and completing them? It was more or less when I moved here. I did get pretty consistent orders when I was in my basement and stuff like that, but they were still, I would call them semi-consistent. They weren't super, super consistent, but I would get big orders. I wouldn't get them like every day, because like I would push more orders away than I would actually take in. So I definitely pushed a lot of clients out the door that I probably shouldn't have, because I was manual printing, right? I could only do so much with a manual press. And yeah, so I had to turn down a ton of work, but I would take on orders that were huge and multicolor and whatever else, because they were challenges, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to get good at this, and I wanted a lot of practice, and I didn't want to print just, 1 color prints for some carpenter or plumber or whatever, right? Like some bullshit stuff. I wanted to print like cool stuff, so I would take those jobs. So I would kind of be like a little bit sporadic with it. I would kind of plan them out so that like I'd have another one as one was finishing. But once we got here and I got the auto and I was able to kind of like just take more on and kind of take pretty much most of what came in the door, holy shit, man, that's when it just started like just going and going and going and growing. And it's still like that. Like I got to a point where I was like, oh yeah, I'm able to keep up with this. And then, nope, I absolutely cannot. And then hired more people. Cool. Yeah, I can keep up with this. And then like a week later, nope, can't. I need more help. I need more everything. It's, I still have no idea what I'm doing half the time. I'm just hoping for the best. It's a lot. That's honestly why I decided to hire Ed and let him take care of filming videos and whatever, because I just knew that like I'm not going to be able to do this again. And I still I want my YouTube channel to be there. I still want to show people what we're doing. I still want them to get help from my channel and whatever else. So like the only way that's going to happen is if I pass this job off onto someone else. And glad I did. We got some really great shit coming up, this is a great segue for a teaser for the new video, because we're kind of getting close to the end of this thing here. So I'm going to show you guys a little teaser from next week's video right now. And I really hope the audio works on this, because this is something I set up today and I haven't used before. So we're going to go ahead and start this right now.
It got worse. It got way worse. What the fuck is doing that? You know, it's weird that all these problems show up the day that you show up to film these things. The shop is absolute chaos right now. Nailed first try. So clearly when it rains, it pours.
These all look insane. It's back.
There you go. Let's hope we got audio on that thing. That was our teaser for next week. That's the first video coming out that I did not film or edit. So I hope you guys are going to dig that thing. Did the audio work on that thing? Was that cool? Did that actually work? I feel like it worked. I'm new to this thing, this whole streaming thing, so it's taking a lot to figure it all out. Yes, sounds like it did. Hell yes. Awesome. Cool. Now I can have that set up for every week when we do these things. So we got a little bit of time left, so I'm going to continue smashing out some questions. Oh, there we go. We got Ed in the comments right there. His real name's Alejandro. I can't roll the J. I can't do it. But we call him Ed. So that's Ed. He made that little teaser for me today. I had that idea last night. Was like, shit, we got to throw something in the stream. And he smashed that out for you guys. So everybody say thank you to Ed for throwing that together for us. Yeah, we've got a few problems in that video, that's for sure, which is cool because that's a lot of stuff that I would have never captured. And I feel like it's like bringing us back to like where my videos started, which is super cool, right? Because like in the beginning, I used to fuck up all the time, and I used to like capture it on film, and I would show people and show them how I fixed it and whatever else, right? And, you know, as I got better, that stuff just kind of stopped happening a lot of the time. But now that I'm on an auto, it's kind of, and I'm like doing more complex stuff, it's starting to happen again, but like I haven't been filming videos, obviously. So now I have Ed around. He's able to capture that stuff, and we're able to kind of like show, you know, these problems and how they're getting fixed and whatever else. So it's very cool. That's for sure. It feels like my like old videos again, which is awesome, but they look different. They feel different. You know, it's from a third person perspective versus my perspective. Very, very awesome stuff. So very excited for this one to come out because I feel like it's a good video. I watched it again last night and just to make sure everything was dialed, and man, it looks awesome. Yeah, see, like that the mess ups were kind of what a lot of people honestly enjoyed, which is cool, I guess, because I don't even know. Like, I guess they felt like more connected to it, right? Like, you know, that's a mistake that I've made, or holy shit, I didn't think of that happening, or whatever, right? And when you look at like YouTube as a whole, how many people show themselves fucking up? Not very many. It's mostly like, hey, everything's perfect all the time, and you know, like everything's great, I'm happy, all this, blah, blah. That's bullshit. That's not what happens in real life. That's not what happens in business. You're gonna make mistakes, especially with this. Screen printing is hard. It's super, super hard. You're gonna make tons of mistakes. And you know, throwing that stuff out there, it was just a decision I made out of nowhere. I was just like, I don't know, I'll just leave this in here. Maybe people will dig it. I didn't know that like it was gonna be something people really latched onto, right? And yeah, I'm glad I did it, and we're back to doing that again, because man, am I making some mistakes as this business grows, that's for sure. Yeah. Nylon jackets. Hold on here. I saw something about nylon jackets. Nylon jackets, absolutely, I'll take that job all day, every day. You throw some catalyst in there to print on nylon, super, super easy. They're actually super easy to print. The independent ones are the ones that I did a video on this a few years ago. Somewhere on my channel, there's a video called, what's it called? Screen printing nylon like a pro or something like that. And I go over printing nylon jackets in there, and it's honestly not hard. Just make sure you're using the catalyst, though. If you're not using the catalyst, that print will come off. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. All right, let's just start banging out some random questions here that have nothing to do with that video because we still got a few minutes left. Screen printing mesh for sim process. So, sim process, it's going to be different, right? Depending on your LPI you're using. That's basically the rule of thumb, right? Like your LPI is going to determine what mesh counts you're using. I typically print at 55 LPI most of the time because I am on film. So like trying to get some of that smaller details when you get into like 65 LPI and those really, really, really teeny halftones, incredibly difficult to get those, almost impossible sometimes. And going down to 55, I feel like is better for me, just to be able to retain more stuff and have it look better in the end and whatever else, and just overall produce a better product and just have an easier time on press too, getting them in and out a little bit faster. So right now I use 55 LPI. As far as I would say I'd kind of standardize the mesh counts for that. I kind of go a little bit more than what's required of 55 LPI. So I'll do like my bases at like, 225, 230. That's pretty standard for that. But then I'll do all my top colors at like 305 mesh, 300 mesh, whatever it is, depending on the type of mesh that you're using. And it works well for us. That's kind of our standard for it. And like, it's crazy because most of the time, like I went from just printing my very first sim process print last year, which is like one of the last few videos I made before I kind of really came back to YouTube heavily. And now it seems like that's all we do because of just like some people saw that and they were like, holy shit, that print was nice. Can you do that for us? And then we did it again and we started doing it more and more and more and more and more. And that seemed to like really spread the word about what we're doing around here. And yeah, we do sim process at least once or twice a week now at this point. And they're always like complex as hell. And that's super fun. But we're going to be able to step up the game a little bit on some stuff soon. We got some new equipment coming. Not going to say what. We're going to have some videos coming, but it's, yeah, I can't wait to show you guys what's coming up. Bring back the product testing with the Mini. Yeah, I got my 110 here still. I haven't cracked that thing out yet this year. I should probably get that thing fired up, put some fuel in it, get it in a video soon. See if I can still do a wheelie. Probably. So yeah, like you stick to 55 most of the time and you see people doing 65 LPI, 75. Like it's I think anything beyond 65 is kind of overkill personally. Like it's awesome from a printer standpoint. It's fucking awesome. Like seeing people who are printing, like I know a dude who's printing at like 120 LPI. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd. He's got his dots so small that it's able to match up with what's coming out of like the hybrid that he's got. So it's like he's able to blend screen printing and his hybrid seamlessly, which is absolutely crazy. So cool. But for the average person, it's just like no normal person will ever notice that. Like 65, anything beyond 65, they're not going to tell the difference, it feels like. 65 looks awesome. 65 feels good, looks good. It's repeatable. It's something you can run in production relatively easy. We do it sometimes. Like I'd say it depends on the print itself. We kind of stick to 55 most of the time just for kind of ease of use. And because I have like employees in the shop now too, so I'm kind of like having other people expose and rinse those screens and stuff. And 55 is just a little bit safer for that kind of thing. But we do 65 sometimes. Like if you look on my Instagram, the shop Instagram, we have that crazy fire demon looking print we did for a band called Immortal Possession, and that one was at 65, and like you could tell that thing was at 65. It looked fucking really, really cool. But anything beyond that, I'd feel like anything that anyone that's not a screen printer is not going to notice. But at some point when we get some new equipment in here, I will say we're going to try and push the limits of what we're capable of and see how far up we can go and just how hard it is to get there. Not so much for our production, obviously, because I don't think for production that makes sense, but just for my own satisfaction and for a cool video, we're going to see what we can do. So that's going to come up at some point. Yes, we do use the 3-point registration system. We have the Rock PRU in here. It's okay. It's just okay. it works 40% of the time. I would say it's definitely not like the be-all, end-all thing that's going to help you not have to register stuff anymore. If you're using film still, there's way too much human error involved, and like the film itself, there's a lot of error involved, right? Film like stretches and contracts with the weather inside your shop, and like it stretches as it comes out of the printer sometimes. There's all kinds of stupid little factors with film, so it's like you're never going to get 100% with it. It's I've tried a million times. Like I always test it first to see if it's on, and like I can count on one hand how many times I've like printed something just straight after using the reg system, and it just worked. It's a small number, but it does get you like pretty damn close. So as soon as like introduce people and film into the mix, it's too inconsistent. If you have like a CTS or something in there, or like a laser or whatever else, like you can be pretty spot on with the 3-point systems. Let's pull up one more here. We are at our hour. I want to keep these at an hour. I always end up going like way too long on them. Here we go. Here's a great one. Do you ever plan to go away from Ryonet? Absolutely not. I love everybody there. Ryonet has been in my corner since I was fucking nobody in the industry. And the fact that they stepped up to like back me up at that point, that to me is everything. I will be loyal to them for a long time. Because of that, I'll be loyal to them as long as they, want to have me on board. Because of that, they're fucking great people to have, and they're all super cool. They're all super supportive, and I will do everything I can to help them out in return because they're awesome and they're just great for the industry, man. Like their customer service, if I was to not have anything to do with them right now, if I was just going to be like a random person, because I was a customer before I worked with them, and their customer service is like untouchable, is absolutely untouchable. Nobody even comes close. They are on it with that stuff. And Ryan's a fucking great guy, someone who everyone should look up to in this industry. So, yeah, I'll be sticking with them for a long time. Ryonet, you fucking rule. This one, their pin alignment system, pretty legit. But again, as soon as you got films in the mix, there's a big margin for error there. Films are, they're the devil when it comes to that stuff. They're never going to be 100% accurate. Ronald, fucking, he was my guy. He was my first sales guy. So he was the one that kind of made that whole connection. He's who sold me my press, my first one. And, I got it going and whatever else. I had some issues with it. I started making those first couple videos and I talked with them about it. And then like after those first 2 videos were ready or something like that, I just kind of sent them an email. I was like, hey man, I made these videos. Check them out if you want. And this is me using my press and whatever else. And that was pretty much it, right? Just wanted to show him like, hey, this is what I'm doing with it. And that was it. And he was right away, was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to kind of like run this up the ladder and see what happens. And that's what started it all. So Ronald was the guy that kind of got my foot in the door in a lot of ways in this industry. So Ronald fucking rules. And he's just an awesome guy. He'll just call me out of the blue just to see how things are going and whatever. He's awesome. I do make fun of him a lot though. Say he looks like Patagonia Harry Potter. Okay, we're at 9:03. We're at an hour. Let's toss a couple more in here. We'll do like 3 more. We'll do 3. 3 is a good number. So this question, do you only print garments that you supply? Yes. I would say 95% of the time. We have a pretty hard rule about that here. We don't take customer supplied stuff. Customer supplied stuff is almost always a nightmare, always a pain in the ass. You never know where it came from. There's no way to warranty anything. It's just too many variables. So the only time we'll take it is, number one, if it's like something we absolutely cannot get. Number 2, it's someone that we've already worked with and we know they're not a crazy pants. And number 3, we just are very clear that if there's any misprints, if there's any shit that happens with this, that is on you. We are not responsible for anything. We could end up fucking up every single one of these. And that's, you're going to have to deal with that. And so we're just very clear about that. And everyone's pretty on board with that most of the time. So that's kind of our thing with it. And it works out. We've never messed up really too bad. I think we've messed up like 1 or 2 things when people hand us that stuff. But it's not very common anyways, because depending on the way your shot's set up, right? Like the garments where you're making a lot of your margin. So getting rid of that is just foolish in my opinion. But so the times that we do take customer supplied stuff, we will bump our print price up to make up for what we're losing not selling that garment. And that's just, too bad for you. We're doing that. So I want to make the same amount of money working no matter what. I don't want to slash my prices to make, someone else happier. Because I got people to feed, man. There's a lot of people that depend on me to pay their bills. So do I mark up? Absolutely, you should be marking up your garments. Do not sell them. I've seen some people saying like, oh, they just sell them for what they get them for. That's insane. Do not do that unless your print price is high enough to make up for that, right? If your print price is stupidly high, so it's adding that extra margin in there, then sure, I guess. But you got to make sure you are making money. So the way you set up your pricing is just, that's up to you. But mark it up. Some people are marking up 50%. That's kind of the standard most of the time. And then some people are at 100, depending on the thing. We're all over the place, right? Depending on the price of the garment itself and the perceived value of it. So here we go. Here's a good one. I feel like this is a good way to close this thing out. So we do not have go-to blanks. We do to a certain degree, but you should also be able to print on basically anything. So when the customers come to us and they don't know what they want, then we'll push the stuff that we prefer because we know it prints really well. We know it holds up over time. We know it doesn't shrink in the wash. We know all these little variable factors of it, right? So there's this one hoodie that we print on. It's the best hoodie I've ever laid my hands on by far. It's fucking awesome. You can only get them in Canada right now. Sorry. But they are absolutely incredible. We're going to print a Rogue Lab hoodie on them next week or the week after, and you'll be able to get your hands on them and buy these things very soon. But anyway, so we'll push them in those directions if they don't know what they want. If they're just someone that's hey, I need t-shirts and hoodies, and they've never printed stuff before, we will absolutely push them towards the stuff that we like to print on because we know it. We know we can do the best job on this. But at the same time, I always ask people, if you have preferred stuff, we will absolutely accommodate you for that. Because, at the end of the day, what the customer wants, what the customer needs, that is the most important thing. So you got to be able to adapt to everything else. So a lot of people say, oh, what blanks do you print on? I say all of them. Because literally I'll print at whatever comes in the door. Whatever that catalog has to offer, if that customer wants that garment, I will print on it. I'll embroider it, whatever I got to do. So that is a thing that everyone should kind of know. You gotta learn to print on all this stuff. Again, so this is one thing for you screen printers out there is to, anytime you can, obviously try and make your job as easy as possible. So if you look at let's say S&S's catalog, right? How much stuff is in that catalog? It's fucking nuts. Those things are huge, multiple Sears catalogs stacked up on each other. There's too much stuff. So if customers say hey, do you have a catalog I can look through? No, I do not. No fucking way. Because I'm not answering 1,000 questions about all the stuff in that book. So that's number one. Don't do that. Number two, take out thin out your offerings as much as you possibly can. For the people that don't know what they want, thin those offerings out, like I said, to the stuff that you know well, that you know how to print on and whatever. Try and make your job as easy as possible so that you can get that shit in and out the door as quickly as you can, the best quality that you can, and deliver it on time. That's really what it comes down to. And that's where most of our jobs that come in the door, most people don't know what they want. So we'll kind of just ask people, hey, do you want good, better, best? For us, we don't have good, better, best. We have it just worded differently to sound a little bit better. So we have standard, premium, and luxury. 9 times out of 10, it's standard or premium. I've sold luxury twice. So it's standard or premium most of the time. And then in each one of those categories, I have 2 things or 3 things that fit that category. So I'll have 2 or 3 t-shirts, 2 or 3 hoodies, 2 or 3 this, that, whatever, right? So that at least I have some redundancy. So if one thing's out of stock, I can move on to the next one or whatever. I always have my number 1 that I want to pick, and then I have a number 2 if need be, number 3 if need be. So break down your stuff like that. Try and simplify what you're offering as much as you possibly can. Because I'd say most of your customers that come in the door don't know what they want. There's going to be very few that come in and be hey, I want this printed on a Gild & Saw style G6400, whatever, right? That's a rare case that something like that comes in. Somebody that's experienced that already knows their stuff. And if they do come in and they're experienced and know their stuff, they're going to hand you something that is going to be good to print on anyways. And they're not going to come to you and say hey, I want this shitty Tultex shirt or something like that, right? They're going to say I want a more premium garment or whatever else. So yeah, that is one of the better pieces of advice that I can give you is try and thin those offerings out and try and like really narrow it down. Because like I said, most of those people don't know what they want. So like you tell them what you want and don't offer them a million options because that is going to make your life miserable. I did it for a long time. Don't do it. It's too much to deal with. Anyway, so yeah, Ben Gosler just had a band come in like that. Love it. Yeah, a lot of bands do know what they want. Bands will come in and they'll hand you, this is what we've gotten before. This is what we like. Here's the sizes we need. Here's our artwork. Like they're pretty on it sometimes. Some of them are like the most disorganized people ever, but most of them that actually want to make money with their merch, they are on top of their game. They're dialed. And that's how I ended up starting to printing on like soft styles. Like soft styles are our standard option most of the time because like it's a good shirt, honestly. It's a Gildan shirt, and Gildan's not really known for being the pillar of quality, but the soft style I would say is like probably one of the favorites that we have in that thing. So that's kind of our offering for bands most of the time because we deal with metal bands 90% of the time, and that's kind of within their budget, and it works awesome for that. But like, yeah, we've had a bunch of bands come in and just be like, yeah, we want soft styles, we want this, and fuck, it's awesome when that happens. I love it when people are prepared. It's nice when you have customers that just come in and they're just like, this is what we need. When can you have this done by? Here's our money. That is the best. The boom arm sticker. Yeah, everybody loves that one. That that sticker. I just keep, like, I mean, a million people have ripped that logo off, but I was just looking at it one day, and somebody else did it, and I was like, you know what, our logo like would fit that. Cool. I'm just gonna make that up real fast, and I just walked outside to the garage and printed off some stickers. Yeah, do not throw that catalog at them because they will make your life a living hell. There's so much stuff in there. It's too much. It's too much. I don't even like looking at those catalogs. Like sometimes like our reps will come in and hand me this catalog and I'm just like thunk in the garbage immediately. Like, no, thank you. You know, we'll throw one more in here. We'll throw one more. We'll go to 9:15 just because I'm enjoying having this. Aside from the obvious, just fucking do it was the best advice you can give someone that wants to start a screen printing company. Well, I mean, like, yeah, the just fucking do it thing is probably the best advice anyone could give. But yeah, it's really just a matter of like getting after it. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. Too many people get bogged down in the details of stuff and like, you know, they want to create a business plan and then this and that and do all this research. And like, there's a million excuses as to why they don't actually just start doing the work, and they just get, you know, bogged down with like decision making and planning and all that type of shit. Like, dude, just get the shit and start doing it. That's what I did, honestly. Like, I did no planning whatsoever. I was just like, I'm buying the shit. I ordered the shit. It started coming to my house. I spent like a lot of money, obviously, because like everyone saw my home shop. I didn't start off with like a simple little setup. It started off with a lot of stuff and was very expensive. And after I did that, and like it was on its way because it took, you know, weeks and weeks to get there because they had to manufacture it, ship it, and whatever. It was like 4 or 5 weeks before I got my hands on it. After that point that I made the order, I made the decision, then it was like, okay, now I'll start looking into this. I got a little bit of time. I'll try and prepare myself the best I can. But at least I was like, I jumped in with both feet first. And that's literally all it takes. So like you jump in with both feet, you get it going. And then the same thing when the equipment shows up, you jump in with both feet again. You grab that equipment, you start just fucking with it. You try and make something, see what happens. Try and figure out different stuff. But again, when you do it, like if you're starting from ground zero, take it in small chunks though. Don't try and take too much at once. So that was like where I talked about this on the last stream. Like I try to do too much at once. And then those first 3 videos I put out, like learning how to screen print parts 1, 2, and 3 or whatever it was. In parts 1 and 2, I think like I was making a bunch of really stupid mistakes that now I look back on, I'm just like, man, I was dumb. Because I was trying to do too much too fast. I was just trying to like hack into it and be like, I'm just thinking I'm better at this than I am. And I was having a lot of problems, too many problems, and just like it was very discouraging, right? After that, I just kind of like took a step back and like realized what I was doing. I was like, man, there's obviously a lot more to this than I thought there was. So I'm just gonna like take off little chunks at a time. So I'm going to grab a screen. I'm going to coat this thing over and over and over again until I can coat a screen right. And so I did. I coated screens actually relatively quick. Like I think I coated my first or second screen like literally perfectly. And then I just had to repeat it over and over again. It took me I'd say it took me like 10 screens to feel like I was comfortable with it. it didn't take me very long. And then it was like the exposure process was where I was having problems and learning how the washout worked and whatever else. At the very beginning, I didn't realize that like you got to let it soak for a minute first before that emulsion starts falling out. So I expected it just to start coming out the second I hammered it with the pressure washer, and it wasn't. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was having all these stupid things happen. I was getting frustrated. After I took the time and stood back and realized what was going on, I was like, okay, I'm going to let it soak for a minute. Then I'll rinse it out, and oh, holy shit, the problem went away. Cool. There's the next step done. And then like learning how to set up the press and figure out my off contact settings. My first try on the press, I tried to register like a 3-screen print together the very first time I picked up a squeegee in my life. How stupid is that? That was the dumbest thing I could have done. So I went back on that afterwards, got rid of that idea, grabbed just one screen, did like a print flash print. I did it over and over again. I got a box. I literally bought like 200 shirts that I knew were going in the garbage. And I was just like, this is an investment in myself. And I just sat there and printed that one color over and over again until I was like, holy shit, I got this down. So now I got that down, jump back into that 3 color. All of a sudden, holy shit, it works. Now I got it. So take it in small chunks. Like if you're learning to be a screen printer, like a lot of people there, and again, this is a business too, right? So there's that whole aspect of things on top of it. And there's a million things to know with that. I'd say leave that side out of it first and just learn how to be a screen printer, which is what I did. I just sat there and like learned how to use this equipment, learned how to dial this in, learned how to get a good print down. And then once you have that down, then start worrying about becoming a business and whatnot. But again, at the end of the day, it just comes to like just doing shit as much as you can. Don't get, bogged down by the decision making and everything else. Just pick up things and start doing it. And that's the best way through. The only way out is through, right? So I'd say that's a pretty good spot to end this stream right there. I feel like I dropped a little bit of knowledge. It was probably a lot of incoherent rambling, but I'm going to call it knowledge anyways. So anyway, thank you guys for joining the stream. This is going to happen every single week now, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So get used to it. Hopefully you guys want to see more of this stuff. We will talk about next week's video, or what is it? I guess this Sunday's video. So next week's stream, we'll talk about this coming Sunday's video. This coming Sunday's video will be out 8 a.m. I think they come out 8 or 9 a.m. I'm scheduled at 4. So it'll be out right away. There's going to be the little premiere thing popping up here in the next day or two, and you will see that. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, because it's the first video that I didn't make on my own. So there's a lot on the line here. It kind of scares the shit out of me a little bit, knowing that there's a video coming out that I did not film, I did not edit, but I got to tell you, it's a very good video. It's a much different look than what we've been doing, like I said, and I really hope you guys dig it. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me on the stream. We will see you next week.